Hello and welcome back, viewers. Previously, we have studied about EPR registration for plastic waste in our videos and understood that all the EPR registered entities will have to fulfill EPR compliance. Now, EPR compliance majorly involves two activities, which are meeting the targets and obligations assigned by CPCB, and the next being submitting annual returns by updating sales and procurement details. Once the EPR compliance is complete for this year, EPR targets for the next financial year are assigned. In this video, let's discuss what are these EPR targets and what are EPR obligations and what are the differences between targets and obligations. My name is Akash and I represent my company AB International, India's leading EPR consultants. Let's start with what exactly are EPR targets. EPR targets are specific goals that are set by CPCB to ensure that producers, importers and brand owners who manufacture, import or sell plastic packaging or products that are wrapped in plastic packaging take full responsibility for recycling or its eco-friendly disposal. It basically gives an exact amount of plastic that an entity should recycle or dispose in a particular financial year. Now, what are EPR obligations? EPR obligations represent distinct sub-targets within the broader framework of EPR targets. To simplify, they can be seen as specific responsibilities that must be addressed while fulfilling their EPR targets. There are four primary categories of EPR obligations, each that are allocated to producers, importers and brand owners following their EPR registration. First being end-of-life disposal. Second being obligation for minimum level of recycling. Third being obligation for use of recycled content in the plastic packaging. And fourth being obligation to reuse, which only applies to the brand owners. Let's study EPR targets in detail and then understand EPR obligations one by one. Now, how is an EPR target calculated? The calculation of EPR target is different for all the EPR registered entities that include producers, importers and brand owners. Let's understand how is EPR target calculated for producers and importers first. A producer is someone who manufactures plastic packaging and an importer is someone who imports plastic packaging or products that are wrapped in plastic packaging. EPR target is majorly dependent on gross plastic waste generated by a producer or an importer. And this gross plastic waste generated is calculated as average weight of plastic packaging manufactured or imported and sold in the last two financial years plus average weight of plastic waste generated while manufacturing or importing the plastic packaging in the last two financial years, which is also known as pre-consumer plastic in EPR terms, minus weight of plastic packaging sold to EPR registered entities on an annual basis. Now, this is just the formula to calculate only the gross plastic waste generated and not the EPR target. The EPR target for financial year 21-22 is 25% of this gross plastic waste generated, whereas for financial year 22-23 it is 70% and for financial year 23-24 it is 100% as per the chart on your screen. This formula will give you an exact amount of target or plastic waste to be recycled by a producer and an importer. We have tried to make this formula as simple as possible for you to understand. It's okay even if you ignore the formula, since the target is anyways going to be auto-calculated by CPCB after you enter your production, import and sales figures. Nevertheless, if you have any doubts, you can get in touch with us by commenting on this video. In the event that a producer sells their manufactured plastic packaging materials to an EPR registered brand owner, the corresponding quantity of plastic packaging materials sold will be reduced from the producer's target and transferred to the same EPR registered brand owner's target. This logic also holds true for importers. If an importer sells plastic packaging or products that are wrapped in plastic packaging to an EPR registered brand owner, the equivalent target will likewise be transferred to the same brand owner and reduced from the target of the importer. But this logic does not apply to a brand owner. Brand owners cannot pass on their target to any other registered entity. So now let's take up how is EPR target calculated for brand owners. The calculation is slightly different but very simple for brand owners. A brand owner is someone who buys plastic wrap products or plastic packaging locally and sells it domestically or exports it under a registered brand name. EPR target for a brand owner majorly depends on the gross plastic waste generated. This gross plastic waste is nothing but average weight of plastic packaging material purchased or products wrapped in plastic packaging purchased and sold in the market in the last 2 financial years, plus average weight of plastic waste generated while purchasing these products and selling it in the last 2 financial years, also known as pre-consumer plastic waste in EPR terms. Now, this is just the formula to calculate the gross plastic waste generated and not the EPR target. The EPR target for financial year 21-22 is 25% of this gross plastic waste generated, whereas for financial year 22-23 it is 70%, and for financial year 23-24 it is 100% as per the chart on your screen. This formula will give you an exact target or an amount of plastic waste to be recycled by a brand owner. If you have any doubts about the formula, you can get in touch with us by commenting on this video or just ignore it because the EPR target for brand owner is anyways going to be auto-calculated by the CPCB based on your sales and procurement figures. Now, let's understand what exactly are EPR obligations. As discussed before, they are nothing but sub-targets or responsibilities that are to be addressed while meeting EPR targets. Let's start with first one, that is end-of-life disposal. The plastic that cannot be recycled should be sent for end-of-life disposal, such as road construction, waste to energy, waste to oil, as per relevant guidelines issued by Indian Road Congress or Central Pollution Control Board from time to time. Second being obligation for reuse of recycled plastic content. This obligation will start applying on the entities from financial year 24-25. As per the EPR guidelines, all entities will ensure a minimum level of recycling as per the chart on your screen. Producers, importers and brand owners will ensure that at least 50% of the target is recycled in financial year 24-25 and the rest can be sent for end-of-life disposal. Similarly, in financial year 25-26, at least 60% of the target should be recycled and so on. Now the next being obligation for reuse of recycled content in plastic packaging materials. This obligation will start applying on the registered entities from financial year 25-26. As per the EPR guidelines, all entities will ensure use of recycled plastic in the plastic packaging that they use category-wise as shown in the chart on your screen. Producers, importers and brand owners will ensure that they use at least 30% of recycled content in their rigid plastic packaging materials, that is category 1 plastic in financial year 25-26, and whereas at least 10% recycled content should be used in flexible plastic packaging materials, that is category 2 plastic and so on. Let's discuss the last type of obligation that only applies to the brand owners who use rigid plastic packaging materials, that is category 1 plastic. That being said, the fourth type of obligation is obligation for reuse. This obligation shall start applying on brand owners from financial year 25-26. Brand owners using category 1, that is rigid plastic packaging materials for their products, shall have minimum obligation to reuse such plastic packaging as shown in the chart of the screen. For brand owners using category 1 rigid plastic packaging with volume or weight equal or more than 0.9 liters but less than 4.9 liters should reuse at least 10% of rigid plastic packaging products sold annually. Similarly, in financial year 26-27, they should use at least 15% and so on. Now, how can we as consultants help you? We are AV International, India's leading EPR consultants. Our expertise extends not only to EPR registration but also to EPR compliance and achieving your EPR targets. With our extensive knowledge and wealth of experience in EPR compliance and registration for plastics, e-waste and batteries, we are your trusted partner in sustainable and responsible waste management. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to leave a comment on this video. We are here to provide the guidance and support that you need. To learn more about our company, please visit our website at www.avigroup.in. If you found our content valuable, we kindly invite you to show your support by liking, sharing and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much.